خزيان موب شلام علوخن أنا ون ديفيد ألبازي بيتان أموخن بخرزخاتا من ديت سانوزي كاليفورنيا قداها تبقتا أمتنيتا تبقتا إلى أم يقرأ مارك آيدن أون إلى خيانة جرماني إلى بريانة يونايتد أمريكا اللي بقانو إنا شولانو جرماني لاي هذه خي تامة تبقلب بخكمة من بن أمتن جو جرمن وهل زملون بيشلو مضية مانينا أطراي وهل هذا اطلبلن منه قد هيرون بكتوتا قا شتسي خا برلمان قا يوروبيان يونيون اد آتوراي هل برديلا أخنان ميقرأ مارك هو يرق ابن أمتنتا وهيو ريلي هل ضيّة لخدشبت آتوراي ومضيونا وآمر أني ناشي غيرك بيشي هو يري وأنا بهيرونن كمد ماصي ميقرأ مارك هدي الله خيلك يونايتد و أبرست رابا سبايلا قد تبقى بيو خات بقتا ودخ منه وبقرخ لمو يطي بد آتوراي وقامودي هيوري له Mr. Iden, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
I really appreciated your help. You're doing a hell of a good job helping our people in Europe to establish a Syrian parliament in the European Union. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
What do you know about Assyrian people?
Well, I've learned a lot over the last several years. I must admit I knew very little prior to 2012, but I've met a number of the Asharia in Hanover and elsewhere in Germany, and through them I've been introduced to your culture and your situation, and it's been for me very enlightening. And so I'm trying to do what I can using my good offices to further your cause and help you along your way. I know your goals, and I think I can help you.
Well, I really appreciate it. In your opinion, what makes this ID or parliament successful?
Well, I think first and foremost, to be a success, the Asher Nation has to speak with one voice. And right now, from what I gather, there are many conflicting voices. Many people want to have a say, which I guess is normal, but there has to be some, I think, more of a concerted effort to mend these various opinions and to speak with one voice. Otherwise, you know, you hear, well, the Christians of the Middle East say this, or the Christians of the Middle East say this. So in Washington and in Brussels, you hear that this is what they want to do, and then you hear another voice, this is what they want to do. And it's very confusing. So I think one of the first objectives for the Asher Nation is to sit down and come out with a statement where everyone agrees to, which everyone agrees to, and say this is what we want to do. I don't think you're too far off. I think you all share the same goals, but it's these interim steps that one has to take in order to get there that is the problem.
I agree with you. That's why we always ask to have leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the politicians and all the organizations to come up with one organization, one leadership, so they can talk to European or to the American.
Yeah.
And that's we are working to do.
Yeah.
And I hope if you guys going to be succeed in European Union, I think we have to get together all of us.
Yes.
We're talking about Assyrians. They are all over the world.
That's
you
right.
know, Australia, Germany,
That's
England,
right.
everywhere.
Yes.
Middle East, everywhere.
Yeah.
So we hope this is. First, we hope you guys are going to be very, very successful in European Union.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I think that once this first step is taken, and if that step is successful, then I think that, that this diaspora, you know, the Ashur diaspora, I think will be more ready to follow this direction. So we have to have some successes. We have to show that, you know, we can really do this. And I think once that's done, then I think there will be less dissension. I think there will be more of a unity going forward to this one objective.
I want to ask you a question. I heard you visit Iraq a couple of years ago.
Yes.
How was it?
Well, it was a great experience for me. I was there for I think 7 or 8 days, and of course, going to Iraq, you think the worst. You know, you're going to a country that's plagued with terror and the instability and you know, the suicide bombers, and this is what you hear about Iraq. And so I left because I was invited by the Iraqi government, the Iraqi cabinet, to talk about human rights for children. Actually, I'd done some work for Save the Children, for children in Libya after the overthrow of Gaddafi. And so on that basis, they asked me to come to Iraq to talk about children's human rights. And so I met the human rights minister at the time, al-Sudani, and I gave a speech to his ministry. And I said that, you know, you really can't discuss human rights in Iraq without discussing some of the issues that are affecting children's health. And one of the major issues, still this very day, has been the use of so-called depleted uranium that the Americans used in the Gulf War of 1991 and also the Iraq War of 2003. And this is the stuff that, that doesn't go away. Once you fire a missile with this depleted uranium, it stays in the environment. And when the winds pick up in the deserts, it takes this depleted uranium with it. It has a half-life of many, many years, and people breathe it. It's very carcinogenic. So you have children born today with cancers or deformities, and I actually saw some of this myself. I went to an orphanage, and some of these children that I'd seen in Baghdad had these deformities that can be attributed to breathing in depleted uranium. Mm. So that was very disheartening, tragic to see this. But that was my introduction to Iraq, and since then we have been experimenting with various technologies. So we have a technology now that can locate landmines, and so we're applying this technology, a sensor, to a drone. The drones fly over the contaminated area and can tell you exactly where these landmines are. Also IEDs, for that matter. So this is a work in progress, and you know, we still want to be able to introduce this technology to Iraq at the right time. I hope it's sometime this year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Question I forgot to ask you. What do you do?
What do I do? Well, I went to the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy in Boston at Harvard and Tufts universities. And when I left, I spent a short time with the State Department. Also worked on Capitol Hill. And then I worked for a foreign policy think tank in New York City across the United Nations. I've always been involved, I've always gone between industry and government.
Yes.
Since then. I worked for Chevron in the Middle East and also in Africa. And I went from Chevron to a company called Proisag in Germany, based in Hanover, which is a multinational conglomerate until 2002, I guess. That's when it changed its sort of ethos from a heavy industrial company to a tourism company. So it sold all of its heavy industrial assets. We had steel factories, steel plants. We had a company that built the world's best diesel submarine in Kiel, HDV. We had an upstream oil and gas company. So all these companies were divested, and the proceeds were taken to purchase airplanes, hotels, what have you. So I left them at the time, and then I formed my own company called Diplomacy International. We were doing work for the European Union, studies that we did on their behalf, due diligence. So we've consulted a number of companies that are seeking to operate in Europe itself. And now, just in the last year or so, I got together with several engineers, German engineers, who have this drone company. And so this is where the drones come in. And we're integrating sensors onto drones. And these will be very valuable in the Middle East, where they have such problems with landmines and IED devices that dash plants. But it's also to monitor pipeline systems, to detect gas leaks, which is very important today. You can use drones for border security, you know, flying over borders with optical cameras. You can see quite a bit that the you and I cannot see for a very reasonable rate of money. So this is what we're doing right now.
Good. So let's go back to Assyrian nation.
Okay, sure.
Did you expect the Assyrian around the world to respond positive or not?
To what we're doing?
Yes, we're talking about the parliament, right?
Yes, yes. Well, I think, as I understand it, this diaspora has been in search of leadership for some time. I think like anyone who leaves their homeland, you're very concerned about the welfare of your fellow citizens, your fellow peoples, and there is nobody to represent you. You know, you need that kind of representation at a higher level in order to make sure your interests are being pursued and followed. And so when I look at this diaspora in Australia, New Zealand, and all throughout Europe and the United States, parts of the Middle East, there's no one real organization that say, we speak for the Syrian peoples. And so I think this is very much needed. And the ones that I've spoken to from various countries all agree that we should go forward with this. So I have been involved in the work of the Babylon Institute in Hanover 3 or 4 years now. And we've been lobbying the German government, and we've been active in pursuing the right kinds of contacts at the European Union, at the European Parliament. And so it's been a work of some time, of several years, and we put a lot of effort into it, contacting people, writing letters, telephoning people, lobbying on behalf of the Ashur nation. And I think now, after all this work, it's finally beginning to pay off. We have a prospective meeting now in Brussels with Elmar Brok, who's the head of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the European Parliament. And he's agreed to meet with us next month. So that meeting will take place in Germany, actually. So we'll see what comes of it. But we're optimistic that it'll go well, that he'll help us, and we'll get this on track.
Is this parliament in exile?
I guess you could call it a parliament in exile. It's not a parliament in Iraq, so it has to be a parliament in exile. And if it gets the support of the diaspora, then it can, I think, do quite a bit. I think once you do have that kind of designation, that you've been recognized by, say, the European Union or the European Parliament, and you're doing work, and you have meetings, and people are coming and taking part, then I think you'll get, you'll get the kind of meetings that you also need to have in Washington, D.C.
Okay, I was coming there.
Yes, I think that that with the Trump administration, he seems to have a vested interest in the welfare of the Christian community anyway in the Middle East, especially in Iraq and Syria. So I think there you have a very receptive ear. And I think this is the good time to go to Washington with this kind of request, that you need their support, that you can help America pacify Iraq to become a more stable entity, a more stable country. If they help you, help them. You know, and I'm a bit skeptical of the support that we have given thus far to the Kurdish community in northern Iraq, because this has come to a great extent at the expense of the Ashur nation. Yes. I think we have to become aware of the other minorities in the northern part of the country. It's not just the Kurds, but it's the Yazidis, it's the Ashuri who have been neglected. And I think we have to make amends on that, and I think we will.
Do you think we need safe haven in northern Iraq?
I think a safe haven would be a welcome prospect. I think you need a protected zone from hostile elements, and you know, not kid ourselves. There are various groups in the Middle East that would like to see the Christians extinguished, liquidated.
Yes.
And so you need to be protected. And what that means, whether or not you develop your own self-defense forces, might be a good way to go. Also, might not be a bad way to contact the United Nations and get them to send in peacekeeping forces that would protect the interests of the Ashur and the Yazidis, for example. We also had talks in Hanover with the various members of the Yazidi community, and they're very interested in working closely with the Ashur nation and protecting their own interests as well. I think that helps broaden the base if you say, well, it's not just us, but it's the Yazidis and other minorities,
right.
You know, that also need this help. And these communities have been around for centuries, and I don't think there is an older community in the world than the Ashur nation, you know.
That's right. 7,000 years.
That's right. And this is an incredible thing. And you look at the historic sites that Daesh has been trying to destroy, and you see, you know, the wealth of this nation and the experience that its incredible creativity. It's amazing, you know. And this is something that very few people know about here in the West.
That's true.
I think a greater effort has to be done, has to be made by the Ashur nation to educate those here in America and also in Europe, but that's being done now, about what you've accomplished in the past, that you are the indigenous people of the region, and by that very fact, you're entitled to the region's indigenous resources. You know, there should be nothing keeping you from exploiting the oil wealth of northern Iraq like the Kurds are doing right now. This is not right that they claim ownership of all this, because it should not be the case. And I bet if you took this case to the United Nations, according to international law, you should be getting some of this as well. It's a very complicated issue because this is something that has to be resolved with the federal government in Baghdad. You know, the Kurds want to go their own way. They're trying to create their own independent country, which is not a good idea in my mind. Nobody wants to have an independent Kurdistan except for the Kurds of northern Iraq, as it's, and they're also divided amongst themselves, you know. You've got various Kurdish elements that don't see eye to eye on so many things.
That's true.
But there's got to be a way found, a modus vivendi, so that that the voice of the Ashur nation can be heard.
You mentioned, sir, we should go to State Department and United Nations and all those places.
Yeah.
Unless we have leadership, it's very, very hard. There's many organizations, they claim they are represent Assyrian. Probably they are Assyrian, they have good faith.
Yeah.
But the help we can get is to be united and have one leadership, which then we can ask you to help us, because you work for the State Department, and this will be great for our nation. We are loyal Assyrian American in the United States. Our people, they are very, very peaceful people. We don't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
We care about our land. I mean, our land being stolen, our heritage.
Yes.
And we really need help.
Yes. Well, I think the U.S. has been very helpful, for example, to the Kurds in northern Iraq.
Yes, yes.
Give them money, give them weapons.
Everything.
Everything they want. And also the Germans have been very helpful. They give them a lot of German-made weapons. And
so is French.
Yes. Why isn't this being done to the Ashur nation? You know? And I think one of the reasons is that the Kurds have a very effective lobby in Washington, D.C.
Yes, sir. That's truth.
Yeah. So
because they have money. I mean, all
they have
this
money.
Oil
they have a lot of oil money.
And all that. Exactly.
That's right.
So I mean, it's hard for us.
Yes.
To compete with.
Yes. Yeah. And this is why I think a way has to be found for this community in Iraq to benefit also from the oil wealth of the country. I think it's important.
The problem is not just the money from oil and all that stuff. They've taken our land.
Yes, they've taken your land. And to get it back is going to be a challenge. You know, how do you get it back when they have the weapons and they have more of them than you?
And all those superpower countries helping them.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not against them. We like to live beside the other minority over there.
Yeah.
By the way, that's our land.
Right.
We raised over there.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, right now it's just it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Our people are dying. Our people getting massacred. Our people. I don't know. It just it's.
No, it's a serious issue. I think the first step is to create a protected zone, which will follow once the parliament in exile is created. I think the next step would then to look how we can go about creating a protected zone for the Ashur nation. And then from there, once this is set up and once it's in place, you can take it to the next step, which might be, your own homeland, if you will. I mean, this is where you come from. But getting the right people in Brussels, in Germany, in Washington, D.C. to support you will be critical to this ultimate objective. We have friends in Washington, I think, that would lend a sympathetic ear to this. But they have to hear it. You have to get there, you have to meet with them, you have to present the case, you have to say why it's good, the benefits that would come from this, apart from the moral cause itself. I mean, there's a moral issue.
Absolutely.
But there are some strategic issues too. Why the U.S. should support the establishment of a protected zone and what it may lead to in the end.
Yeah. Well, we like, I mean, we like help from anywhere.
Yes.
It's just, especially United States. I mean, I'm pretty sure in the State Department they know a lot about Assyrian.
I'm sure they do.
And it just, I don't know, everybody look like they are against us.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we are Christian, Assyrian Christian, or because most of the Iraqi, tell you the truth, they are Assyrian. But they became Muslim, and so we have a problem. It just our people now, it's minority, and their right is taken, their land is stolen.
Yes.
So we appreciate it. What you doing and the other good people doing for our nation, really. And I hope we'll get in touch and you can support us or induce us to some people in Washington. That'll be great.
Yes. Well, I'll be with you, and I hope that we can make some headway. I think it's a question of meeting the right people, winning them over to your side, because you have a good case. you know. I don't think we have to argue too forcefully about the Asher Nation case. It's a good case.
Yeah, it's there. It's in the Bible. It's everywhere.
That's right. So I think waiting for the right time is always critical. This time may be now, given this new government in Washington, and given the impending meetings we have in Brussels. I think we can make a lot of headway. So we're at the beginning now of 2017, and I think hopefully at the end of 2017 we can say we've taken some big first steps now. You know, this should be our goal.
That's great. That's great. Sir, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
And good luck.
Thank you very much.
And I hope we'll hear good news in the next meeting.
Okay, we'll be in touch and I'll keep you posted.
Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
خزيانة مغبة بتايخ ختام الدهة تبقتا من ميقرا مارك إيدن أونتي لهيورقا ابن أمتن جو شتسيخا برلمان جو European Union وهار هذا ذي بهيرن أخنن لخا قد شغلانا مدرسة خلون أخنن دا من State Department لخا جو أمريكا خزيانة مغبة أو تنبسيمة قرزيتوخون ومشميتوخون وبخيل دقالة بتاوخ أموخون بخرزخينة بوشون بشلامة